Hello, welcome to Rick Says What. This week, he's going to be talking about an incident that happened to him back in February, or maybe it was early March. I take that back. He locked himself out of the RV when he was on the road. Very interesting in case any of you have ever locked yourself out of your vehicle or anything. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Rick Says What? Our views and comments on senior life. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back. And Marta went up to be with her sister. Both sisters got together, and she drove up to Lincoln and then picked up her sister, and then they went to Milwaukee.
Well, I didn't pick my sister up.
Well, she drove.
She drove from there.
She drove from there to Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And they went to stay together with the three sisters while one of the sisters had a procedure done. So she was gone for about 8 or 9 days, and then I was going
10, but
10 days.
Who's counting?
Yeah. So then what I was going to do is take the RV, our Winnebago, and go up and go to Lincoln, and then I'd meet her there, and then I was going to the Boys State tournament up there while we stayed there a few days, and then we'd be going to Colorado. So
why?
To see our grandkids. And so I was just going to drive up in one day on a Tuesday. But I decided, what the heck, I'm getting antsy. So I'm just going to go halfway in the RV, stay overnight, and then drive in. So I get in to Lincoln on Tuesday afternoon. And then when she gets there, I'm already at the campsite. So I take off like about 10 o'clock or whatever on a Monday, and I figure I was going to go to at least Greensburg. And because Marta had gone through there and said they have hookups there, you could stay overnight in Greensburg. So Max and I get in the RV and we head up there. Well, we get to Greensburg like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, no, I'm not stopping now. So I call Marta and say, I'm not stopping here at Greensburg. I'm going to go as far as there's a rest stop between Salina and McPherson, right on the left side of the interstate. And I said, I'm just going to stay there overnight. I'm self-contained. I'll be fine. And she said, okay. Well, you know, we hear that everybody's packing up on groceries, everything. There's that coronavirus going around. So would you stop and get some groceries before you come up? And I said, okay. So I go to Hutch, and while I'm in Hutch, I stop, get some groceries, and I get me supper. I get a chicken. So then I go ahead and proceed, and I get to the rest stop. And it's only about 5 o'clock or so.
Yeah, it might have been later.
No, it was about 5 o'clock. So I get there. I just pull off on the side. They got a little cutoff there after the rest stop. I mean, not the rest stop, but in the rest stop, there's a cutoff where you can kind of sit there. So I went in there, turned on the generator, got the TV going, got the chicken out, had a beer. Max and I had a great supper. We're just hanging. I plugged in my cell phone to get it charging because the generator's running. And I never took keys out of the ignition. I just left them in there because where else am I going to go? I'm not going to go anywhere, so I don't need those keys. So anyway, Max and I finished dinner, and we want to go to the restroom. I'm not going to use the restroom in the RV. There's no need. Heck, I'm going to take Max for a walk anyway. So I go out of the RV, I shut the door, and that's all I did is just shut the door. It's about 39 degrees outside. And Max,
windy.
And windy. So I take Max on a walk and everything, and I'm just walking him around, and he's going to the bathroom, and then I decide, well, I'll just use the restroom. So I go in the restroom. It's nice and warm in there. I come back out. Max looks around again, goes bathroom again. So I go back to the RV, open the door. I can't open the door. I'm going, I didn't lock it. So I'm pounding on the door, and I'm trying to use, and I'm going, this has never happened before. I can't get in the door. And I'm looking around, well, I'm locked out. How am I locked out? I didn't lock it. And so I'm looking inside, everything's running inside, and I'm going, I need to call Marta. Wait, I can't call Marta. My phone's in there charging. I can't get in because my keys are in the ignition. I look around, there's only 2 truckers that are parked overnight. So I'm going, oh my gosh, and I'm in panic mode now because I'm just, what am I going to do? Marta's in Wisconsin. I got my keys and everything locked in. The generator's going. I can't get in this thing. I'm not breaking a window.
And it was dark. By this time.
Now it's about 6:30, and it's about 6:30.
It was dark,
and dark.
Wasn't it?
It was dark.
It was dark.
And so I go to the first trucker, knock on his door. He was sleeping, and he woke up, and I says, "Sir, can I use your telephone?" And he says, "Well, yeah, you could, but I have 0 signal." And I go, "Holy cow, this is not good." So I go to the next trucker. Luckily, after knocking on his door for a while, he got up. And I told him the same thing. Can I use your? And he says, well, I got a little bit of a signal. So he allowed me to. He dialed the number, and then he gave me the phone, and I call Marta. And so I'll let Marta tell what happened then.
So about 7, I'm thinking it's 7 o'clock or something like that. I can't remember the time now. I get a call from Rick. Oh, okay. And I say hi, and he goes, Marta, I need your help. And I'm like, now I'm in panic mode. What's the matter? Are you okay? You know, I mean, I'm frantic. Like, are you okay? What's going on? Marta, I need your help. I'm locked out of the RV. I said, you haven't had an accident. No, not an accident. I'm at the rest stop, but I'm locked out. And I'm like, but what can I do here I'm in, Wisconsin. I couldn't get there if I wanted to help. He said, well, he doesn't have his cell phone. He's using someone else's because that was also locked in the RV. So he said, can you call, like, roadside assistance, someone to come out? And I said, well, let me see what I can do. And then what did you ask the trucker if I...
Then I said, well, I'm lucky that she picked up the phone anyway because it was a weird number.
Yeah.
And so it's not me calling her.
That's right,
She didn't even know who the number is. And luckily, I don't even answer those calls if I don't know the number. Well, luckily, she did answered the phone because it was the trucker's number, and she didn't know that number. And so I tell her, I said, just call the roadside assistance and then call this number back, and then he can get a hold of me. And so she does, and she says, okay, I'll call this number back when I get a hold of him. So anyway, I tell the guy thank you and everything, and I go outside, and I'm just standing out there because I don't want to take his time, and he needs sleep. And so I'm standing outside getting cold, and then we go in the restroom, but I don't know if somebody's going to come, so I don't want to go too far away from the RV. And so then a guy pulls up, finally a car, and I ask him if he knows any locksmiths or anything around that area. Well, he says, I'm not really from this area. And he says, but let me look around on my phone. And he didn't have very much of a signal either. And so he's trying to find somebody. He says, they don't answer the phone. And he says, but I'm going to call the highway patrol, and maybe they can send somebody out here at least to make sure you're okay, because I got to get going. And I said, I appreciate that. So he calls the highway patrol and tells them where I'm at and everything like that. So by now, I go back to the trucker and I said, "Has she called?" And he said, "No."
And we're in, of course, Wisconsin, and my sister's helping me too. But we're trying to get a hold of, we have Good Sam Roadside Assistance. We're trying to get a hold of them, which I did. But we were waiting, and they couldn't find anyone to help. Well, I'll keep trying and I'll get back to you. Okay. Well, my husband is out in the cold, so I don't know how long we waited before they even got back. And we can't find anyone yet. We'll keep working on it.
So anyway, it's getting pretty late now, about 7:30 or so.
No, it was almost 8:30.
Well, it's 7:30 or 8. But so I go back to the trucker, and he says, "There's no need for you to stand outside, dude." He says, "Why don't you come in my truck?" So I bring Max and I into the truck, and we're sitting there in the truck, and it's warm in there. He's a nice guy. We're having a good conversation. His name was Eddie. And I was talking about him being a trucker and everything, and we just waiting for somebody. And he says, "Well, you can stay here till the highway patrolman comes in." And I said, "I sure appreciate it." Well, just then, the highway patrolman goes by the RV, and I'm going, "Oh, my God, I got to get out." So I almost fall out of his truck, but I thank him and say, "We'll take care of it from here. I sure appreciate all your help." And he was really nice. And so I go over there, and there's a patrolman. He says, "I hear you got locked out of this RV." And I says, "Yes, sir. My wife's trying to get somebody to come." And so we call her again. And she says, "Rick, I still haven't heard anything. They say they're trying, but they haven't found anybody yet." And I'm going, "Well, my gosh, it's already been a couple hours." And so the patrolman says, "Well, I'll call this guy, and a locksmith he knows," and couldn't get an answer. So he says, "Well, I'm going to call a guy that tows vehicles for us. Maybe he can get in." So he calls him. The guy says, "Yeah, I can be out in a few minutes." Well, few minutes, he's from McPherson, is about 30 minutes away. So he comes after 30 minutes, and he tries to get in. He's using we found out that there was a hole drilled in my door because the state patrolman researched this and found out this is a common thing that happens with Winnebagos, and which we didn't know, that people can get locked out of it real easy. And so anyway, they're using a screwdriver and trying to get the lock and everything, and they work on it for about 15, 20 minutes, and they can't do it. And so the guy says, "I'm sorry, I can't do it." And so I give him a little bit of money at least for coming out and trying. So he goes away. So we call Marta, nothing yet.
Nope. And I can't remember if I said, or you said, well, the highway patrolman could call someone, but you might have to pay him. And I said, well, if you have to pay him, you have to pay him. And but I'll call the Good Sam back or
and
whatever.
they're getting nowhere. So the patrolman calls that locksmith up again and gets a hold of him this time. And he says, "Sir, we have a guy here that locked himself out of the RV at this McPherson rest stop, and could you come out?" And he says, "Well, yeah, I got a call about 6:30 about that person, and they said, do I take credit cards?" And I told them no. So they said, "Okay, never mind." So they had called him at 6:30, and they didn't even call us back to say, if you could pay cash, you can come right out. They didn't even ask that. And so the patrolman says, "Well, do you take cash? Can he pay cash?" And I says, "Well, how much would it cost?" And he says, $50. I said, "Yes, I have that cash." He says, "Okay, I'm coming right out."
So then my husband calls me back, and he said that they're coming out. Someone's coming out to unlock it. Well, after that, finally, Good Sam does call me back, and they say, "We just can't find anyone to come." I said, "Well, they've got someone to come. So do you reimburse?" oh yeah, we can reimburse you. So
But the thing was, they didn't ask about that, and they were just saying, "Well, we'll try again tomorrow." Well, what am I supposed to do till then?
I really feel like that was a kind of a minor issue. At first I thought, a lockout, come and unlock. And unfortunately, I think it turned into
Major issue.
A fiasco, and Good Sam roadside wasn't all that helpful.
No, because they should have said, well, we could get somebody out, but it would take cash. They should have had that option. Well, anyway, so the highway patrolman, finally, I'm sitting in his car, we're having a good conversation, and finally the guy comes up with the lock. And we explained the whole situation. The generator's running now since it's about 9:30, and generator's been running all that time. And so the guy picks the lock. It takes him a while, but he does pick the lock. And he says, got it. And then he turns to the little old thing. Can't get it open yet. It doesn't open. And I'm going, oh my gosh. And he says, well, that's strange. It should have opened. And so he tries it again. And so then the officer says, well, we had another gentleman come out and he was using a screwdriver, and maybe that you have to do. Oh, he wasn't using a screwdriver, was he? And he was upset. And he says, now I'll have to go get this other tool. And so he goes to his truck. So the officer says, well, Rick, you have that screwdriver? And I say, sure. And he gets that screwdriver and he goes in there while the locksmith's looking in his truck, and he plays around with it, and click, he gets it and opens the door. And relief just came over me in a minute. And so the lock guy came back and says, oh, got it, huh? He says, yeah, I went in there with that screwdriver, and because he got it to where you could move it around. And so thank goodness for that. And I was so relieved, because I'm thinking I'm going to have to go to a motel. It's going to run my RV down to a quarter of a tank. And it was terrible. But the officer was really nice. The locksmith was nice. And I paid him and thanked him and everything. I called Marta. The officer stayed there while we locked and unlocked and locked and unlocked and locked and unlocked the door.
Shut the door.
Made sure that everything was fine. And he was just a great guy. And then he says, okay, I'm out of here. And so then I called Marta, and it was all, but her sisters and everything were all worried and helpful.
They're thankful that it hadn't been an accident when he said, Marta, I need your help. It's like, those are not
the words you want to hear.
Not the first words out of your mouth you want someone to say to you, But everything was okay. It took a little while for, I'm sure, everyone's adrenaline to settle down. But anyway, the thing is,
the rest of the trip went well.
Yes, and my husband said he just cringed every time he'd have to shut the door. But the one thing is, make sure you have your phone.
Make sure you have your keys. Don't just trust that thing not to lock. Because we found out.
Even cars.
Yes.
I bet you're not the only one who's been locked out, either of an RV or some vehicle or their house.
Right.
For one reason or another.
Write in the comments if you've been locked out of something and how long it took, and if you were satisfied with the roadside assistance.
Yes. I would like to have some comments on any kind of various roadside assistance calls that someone might have had and what their experience
So comment
was like.
in the area below. And we
or at what?
Rick says what?
Rick, yeah, sorry. About Rick says what at gmail.com. Please comment.
Comment and let us know. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We really appreciate you watching our channel. And like I say, this is for interacting. So let us know if it's happened to you.
Thank you for watching and listening. And again, it is very important for us to get comments. We want to share some of our listeners and some of our people that watch our channel as well. We want to share
Some of your experiences.
Some of your experiences. We don't have to use names, but we can share an incident, whether it's good, whether it's bad. It doesn't matter. Just comment. Let us know if you have a story to tell.
Yeah, even if you don't have a Winnebago, which I hear this is pretty common with, tell us if you've been ever locked out of your RV or trailer or whatever.
Or your
Car.
vehicle or your house.
We got locked out of our
It doesn't
car
matter.
one time. We had a Suburban that automatically locked, and we had our keys, the car running, and 2 dogs inside, and we had to get that open too. So it's happened before. So anyway, thank you for watching and listening to the podcast. We appreciate it. See you later.
Bye.